Yo, what's going on, everybody? It is 1 p.m. here in Crystal Lake, Illinois. It's time for another live stream. Today is Wednesday, February 7th, 2024. Heads up, everybody. For those of you who do things on Valentine's Day, it is a week from Valentine's Day. My wife and I don't really do stuff on Valentine's Day, but for those of you, I'm talking probably to the dudes out there who need to remember to do something on Valentine's Day, 1 week warning. 1 week warning. All right. Before we get into the episode for today, and we do have a packet. We got something from Tier. I'm almost certain that's how you say it. We got something from Tier. It's the company's named after the god. I think it's Greek mythology, Norse god. Tyr is the Norse god of war, I want to say. And we'll get to that in a minute. But first, let's say hi to everyone listening in on the audio-only version on the podcast. Hope you guys are having a good run out there. Today I had an easy run, and you would think that I am just devouring post-marathon trials podcast interview content. You would be wrong. I am like in the most dramatic part of an audiobook I'm listening to. It's a fiction book. I normally don't listen to fiction, but I thought I wanted to branch out. It took me a long time to get into it, but I'm really like super into it right now. And it just hit like the big plot twist, and I kind of wanted to run like a couple extra miles. Isn't that a good feeling? Hopefully, so if you're listening to this while you're on your podcast, you're clearly not listening to an audiobook, but hopefully this podcast is just so compelling that you just want to keep running and running and running. And hopefully you have a good running day today. And everyone watching this later but not live, probably not going to happen while you're cleaning up after doing making dinner and doing the dishes. You know, hopefully this isn't going to make you want to keep cleaning and cleaning and cleaning, but maybe you are. And I think this will probably actually be pretty good to have on in the background while you're cleaning, you know? It's as if like I'm also putting the dishes away with you. You know, many hands make light work. So there we go. We're doing it together. Vanessa Martinez says, "What's the book?" I kind of almost picked one at random. I just picked one that was a New York Times bestseller in fiction, and it's called "None of This Is True." And it threw me for a loop at first because it's set in London, and the reader is British, and there are many characters, and sometimes different characters have a different reader. And that throws me off. That it took me a long time to realize there were multiple people talking. And I feel like there's nuance that you pick up from the book, depending on from whose perspective you're being told the story. So just be aware. It takes some getting used to if you're not used to a British accent. All right, so that's what's going on in my life today. But I did have a good run though. Easy run with some strides, you know. All right. Matt Byer says he had a grass trail run today. Nice to run, softer surface. That is nice. You know what? I did run on some softer surfaces yesterday. It was the first time in a long time because all my soft surfaces around here have been covered in snow. And so back when I lived by the lake, all the paths that I would take, those were also commuters' paths, like bike commuters and walking commuters. And so they would be plowed and salted. None of the paths out here get cleared. So when it snows, it stays all gunked up for a really, really long time. So, but you know, it's okay. It was clear yesterday. It was a little muddy, but I had fun. And Maddie Mac says, "Yo, you all called it. The first group run was fun." Okay. Were you, Maddie? I'm trying to look at this. Maddie, were you at the first group run? The first group run, the Kofuzi work. I mean, it wasn't our first group run, but it was the first group workout. That was a lot of fun. Plander says, "Hey everyone, tapering for Savelle. 5 miles at marathon pace today. Feeling fresh. Nice. So what do you got? You got like 10. You're 10 days out then. 10 days out. Nice. That reminds me, there's someone I wanted to reach out to try and get in touch with them before they went out to Seville for the marathon. I got to send that message. But I've been messaging a bunch of people. I've been trying to set up some post-trials interviews, people that you guys have been asking for. But I'm like, you know, my interview is probably not going to be the one that needs to go out right away. and I'm not that kind of interviewer, So like I'm like waiting. So I just started making requests today. So hopefully I'll be able to get some of those out next week or into the week after, because we got a long time till Paris. You know what I'm saying? Like we don't gotta have a rush to everything out in the first day. So, yeah, but there are some people that aren't going to Paris that I do want to talk to, and hopefully I can get some of those interviews scheduled. So far, it's going well, so that's always a plus. Bo Kaufman says, what's the best workout to make you faster? I'm not a coach, but in my opinion, it's 6 times 6 minutes at threshold with a minute rest. You can go up to, you could even go up to, like 75, even 90 seconds rest on that. But 6 times 6 minutes at threshold pace, that's my favorite workout. Oh, Matty Max says, unfortunately, no, he just went for his first. Oh, you went for your first group run with your local club. Oh, that's fun. That's even more exciting, Matty. That's cool. Very cool. Ivan Florence says, I did a run walk yesterday with some strides, and the body is still recovering from Houston. All right, well, that's good to get out there, get everything loosened up. And Kevin Wong wants to know, do I like a 6 by 6 minutes or a 4 by 8 minutes? 4 by 8 minutes is harder, I think. But I also feel like it's not as many, there's a couple of reasons why I like 6 minutes. It's long enough to be long, but not so long that it's too long. That makes no sense. But I just feel like that when I do a lot of 8-minute threshold reps, I just feel like there's a lot of room for me to get very sloppy and push past threshold range on accident. And so that's why I like 6 by 6 minutes, because like if you do 3 minutes or 4 minutes, you might not have enough time to really let your heart rate get into that threshold range for your blood to build up lactate, where you're really working on flushing lactate, And so you're not just flushing lactate, you're also converting lactate into energy as well. But you're using it as an energy source as well. That's part of how you clear it quickly. But so I like the 6 by 6. I feel like it's a good amount of time. I feel like that's why mile repeats are popular, because it takes, well, depending on how fast you are, 5 minutes, 6 minutes, or 7 minutes. But I think that's a good range. That's my thinking on it. But again, I'm not a coach. Mark Peterson says, I'm trying to decide if it's worth it to seek out a track meet with a 1,000 meter race I can hop in unattached to get that Tracksmith PR bonus. Mark, you think that you can beat because he says he only raced that distance once in college. You think that today you could beat your college 1,000 meter time? I don't even know where you would get a 1,000 meter meet, but I feel like I could beat college meet in a distance race. I couldn't beat college meet in an event that I competed in college, I pole vaulted in college, so that's different too, because I haven't pole vaulted since college, but I don't know. That'd be fun. But you know what, guys? I'm starting to think that I'd mentioned that I really want to do another USATF Masters event, and I was kind of eyeing the indoor mile in Indianapolis. I just don't think I think the next, from here, I don't know if all the way to Paris, but the next couple, at least March, April, and May, are going to be really busy. And then by then, you're like June, July, August, you're starting to get ready for Paris stuff. So I'm worried that I already have a lot of travel, and I'm trying to run fast in London. So it's like, I don't know if it's a good idea. I don't know. Mark says about the 1,000 meters, I didn't know how to race the distance at the time, so my 1,000 meter time is weak. Okay. So now like wisdom over youth, you think? And Frank always reminding us, it still remains the case that there isn't any clinical evidence that long intervals improve speed. Sure does make me feel fit, though. And I might get faster over time. But I don't know. I don't know how they measure those things. Calvin says, yeah, there's no way I could beat my high school PRs in sprints. One of the things I would want to do, though, is to beat my high school mile PR, which again, here's the problem. I'm not sure exactly what it is. I think I could probably look it up. Maybe my mom has an old yearbook somewhere where some of the PRs might be listed on the track team page. But I haven't raced a mile. There's an asterisk to this story. But I haven't raced a mile since basically like 1995 or 1994. So it's been 30 years. 04, 14, 24. Yeah, 30 years. It's been 30 years. So I think it'd be kind of fun to do it. Maybe I will do it at some point this year. Maybe over the summer. There's a lot of like local all-comers meets in the area. Not a lot, but there's some. And yeah, I think it was like around a 540. I think I could beat that. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Daniel Burton wants to know, Co, what do you think of the Super Blast? I think the Super Blast is a lot of fun. I feel like it's also a confusing shoe potentially for people. It was for me at first. I like it in a specific way. I like it for like long run workouts, where I want to run like moderate pace or faster. Some people look at it and they look at it like they see it's a big shoe. So they think easy running, super like cushioned is what they're thinking. I don't really get super cushioned from the FF Turbo foam that's predominantly in the shoe. And so I like it for like if I had a long run, like a classic Jack Daniels long run, like 16 miles total, 10 of them at marathon effort. Like that's a perfect run for the Super Blast. And I think it's really great. I raced CIM in it the last time I ran CIM. I think I ran a 303, 302, something like that. At towards the end, I was like, I wish this had carbon in it for a race perspective, but I didn't feel that until like mile 22, at which point, any excuse your body can have for like, I wish things were different, your body will come up with them. So maybe it's just an excuse, but I enjoyed it for a big portion of that race. CV76 says Kofuzi holds the New Jersey mile record. I certainly do not. There's a lot of talented runners that come out of New Jersey, so I definitely do not have the mile record. Fiona 1977 says, we have a downhill mile summer race. My best was 6:04, 17 seconds faster than my best track mile. So the asterisk to that story is related to the other story that someone asked about the other day. Maybe it was yesterday, about how did I become like friends with Dina Castor? One of the events that I went out to Mammoth Lakes over 4th of July weekend, and Mammoth Track Club puts on an event called the Freedom Mile. And so you run from the top of the hill down into like the town in Mammoth Lakes. And it's basically a big downhill and then a left and then more downhill. That's how the race goes. And I think I ran a 6 flat there. I did have like Metaspeed. I think I had Metaspeed Edge on that day, and I was trying to run it fast, but I just can't breathe at altitude. I don't know how high it was. I don't think it was super high. It was like, I think there was like a 500, 800 foot drop or something like that. It was in a mile, so it's like a lot, but I don't remember. But I think it ends at like about a mile high, maybe higher. So I don't remember, but I remember not being able to breathe for a really long time after that. So I don't really count that one. And Daniel Burton says the Freedom Mile is at 7,000 feet. I know parts of Mammoth Lakes are at 7,000 feet. Dina Castor's Instagram handle is Dina8050 because the track that they built out there is at 8,050 feet, so yeah. Andrew Cho says, hey, Co, do you think the Sail X1 is similar to the Endorphin Elite? And this reminds me, I was thinking about it a lot. Someone asked this exact question yesterday. I was like, I don't think those shoes are similar at all. And I'm trying to remember if I'm the one that mentioned that they're similar or if someone else mentioned that they're similar. And I don't know if I did. And I kind of dismissed the person that wrote it yesterday, and I feel bad about it because I was a little bit snarky, and that they didn't deserve that. And so if you're here and you asked that yesterday, or if Andrew, if you asked that yesterday, I apologize. Whoever asked that yesterday, I was snarky for no reason. The shoes are very different, but one part that I feel like is similar between the two is that there's a giant landing pad up front for you to land on. Kind of reminds me of like a little bit of like Alpha Fly, where it's like it kind of feels like the shoe is like a lollipop. There's a big round thing that you land on, and then there's a little bit of extra shoe sticking out the back. I kind of get that sense from this Cielo X1 because of how it's designed. I feel like you're landing like boom on this big thing here. And then for the Endorphin Elite, you're landing similarly, like on a really, it just feels like there's a giant sweet spot. So like, you know how like I don't play tennis, but you know how they talk about with tennis rackets, like this tennis racket has a giant sweet spot. I feel like these are similar in the sense that they have giant sweet spots. The foams behave differently. I feel like this foam and it'll be in my review, which comes out. I think, guys, I've been doing 2 videos a week for a long time. I think I'm such a backlog of videos. I think I have to do 3 for a while, but so I'm trying to get to this soon. But this foam feels a lot like Endorphin or Power Run PB. It doesn't feel like the Power Run HG at all. So like I guess they kind of look the same. And the more I hold them up next to each other, they kind of starting to look more similar. But like they don't feel the same, but they do have that analogous like large landing pad, lollipop design. Does that make sense? The Endorphin Elite is much lighter as well. All right, Jeremy Cahill says, I'm interested to know about why Hoka decided on the cutout. Seems like the opposite approach Adidas took. That's the exact question I asked the designer when I met her, because when I ran in this shoe, it looked backwards to me, right? Because if you look at this, you guys are gonna make me stand up today. All right, I got Prime X2, which is a good shoe to bring out for this discussion. But anyway, look at the way that the cutout is on this. Right, there's a lateral flare, and then there's an arch side cutout. Right, same thing on more prominent on the Takumi Sen and the Adios Pro, arch side cutout. Right, on the Cielo X1, it's a lateral side cutout, so it's backwards. Right, or let's not say backwards. Let's not be normative about it. Let's just say one brand has been doing it all their shoes on the arch side. Cielo X1 decided to do it on the lateral side. And I'm like, is there a big reason for that? What did you think? And they were like, well, we did the cutout because we wanted the shoe to be able to bend better and we want to save some weight. There's some aggressive carving of this midsole foam here, which you'll hopefully be able to see a lot better if you've ever held the shoe, or like when I put my review video up and we get a closer look at it. So that's a big part of it is weight. And I think the thing that I told her about it is, it didn't bother me when I was moving at race paces or when I was working in it. But at easy paces, what I did feel is that this sent a sensation directly up into my arch. And it also felt kind of like a stability shoe a little bit, because it wasn't letting my arch curl in the way that when you think about a shoe, you land outward and curl inward. That's why your big toe is a big toe, and you push off the big toe, right? And I was like, it kind of feels like it's hindering that a little bit, because there's almost like a post underneath the arch over here. And they're like, they did that way, they chose it that way intentionally because they didn't want people to over-pronate in the shoe. So it does help people from over-pronating. And they just they wanted to have a cutout on one side or the other. And they said they preferred it on the arch side. So I don't know if there's a Carbon X1 Proto out there somewhere that has an arch side cutout or not, but you know, that's what they're doing. I think another shoe that's very interesting about is a shoe that has a really big arch side cutout, big giant lollipop landing pad up here, and then a thin connecting piece, so it's not a completely disarticulated front and back. These shoes are enantiomers, mirror images, you know? So something to think about in terms of shoes that I would compare. I should just do the whole review right now. That's pretty much my entire review. I'll just have Daniel edit it, and then we'll put some B-roll on top. But there we go. Super fast review. Carbon X1. Cosmopino Monaco says, good analysis. How long until Co gets to consult on shoe development? Goodness, I don't really want to do that. Because then when a shoe comes out and I don't like it, I'm gonna be like, oh, whose idea was that? And then I'll have no one to blame but me, and then everyone will be mad at me. And I don't do that. I can only design Homer Simpson shoes. So don't no one ever please ask me how to design a shoe. Oh, Calvin says Carbon X1, slip of the tongue. CLO X1. I keep saying Carbon X1, CLO X1. But yeah. Sorry. All right. Eliza says box. Good point. Let's keep it moving. I feel like that was a good discussion though, right? That helps me get my thoughts together. All right. We got a large box here from Tier. I'm hoping there's 2 shoes in here. Because this is a big box. And there are 2 shoes that I'm very excited about to get from Tier. But I have a feeling there's just one. You know what I appreciate about them? They have branded packing tape. It's a nice touch. Although I guess sometimes when other brands do it, I don't like it because then if that box is sitting on your porch, people might know what you got. All right, we got 1 box in here. Always in the front. Who's going to carry the boats? Kind of thing. Let's get some focus on this. There we go. Always in front. Tier Elite Carbon. Look at that. Fancy. This is the Valkyrie Elite Carbon. You guys have seen it. I think it's been making the rounds on Instagram now. But I talked about it a little bit in my TRE video. I had a chance to try it on there. There we go. That's pretty. It's a pretty box. It's a good unboxing experience here. And I tried to convince them to let me take it home because I was like, you guys should just give it to me now. Because I did like the feel of it a lot. Here we go. I think it's a really pretty shoe. The upper is nice and minimal. It's got the grippy kind of laces. The tongue is a little bit padded in here, is it? And it is gusseted. And this foam reminds me a lot of Power Run PB. It's like it's a beaded PIBA foam that's in here. And then they have the Elite Carbon branding on the bottom of the plate that you could see from down here. And so I think it's kind of like, it feels to me like it's gonna, hopefully the foam will feel like a Power Run PB is the sense that I'm getting from it. And what I remember from stepping into this shoe and putting it on is that there's a very late but aggressive rocker, which is a setup that I tend to like. It's what you see in the Endorphin Elite. Very aggressive rocker at the end. Yeah, just feels really good. The upper feels probably a little bit more built up than like a standard racing upper typically is. But I think it'll be exciting. There's also going to be a non-carbon plated version, one with I believe it's a nylon shank that's going to be in there. That had a lot of people, when I was talking about it, thinking that it could be an Endorphin Speed competitor. So I'm excited about that one too. Hopefully they'll send that one as well. But we'll take a look at the carbon plated version first. Again, like I said, I got a backlog of shoes I got to test. So we'll get this in. And fortunately, I'm training for a marathon. So I got a lot of runs where I'll be able to do a lot of good testing. So I'm excited about it. Scuba Sun says, what's this? Wait. My scale's over there. I was doing my SC Elite 4 video. I was filming it this morning, so I moved the scale over there because it weighs heavier than the stated weights by a lot. So I felt like I had to talk about that. But it feels like, I mean, there's paper and stuff in here. It does not smell great. It smells like chemicals. The inside smells like new running shoes or like brand new like industrial carpet. But something on the outside smells very plasticky. It's not good. I'm not going to eat it. See, what does it feel close to? Yeah, maybe like a Mizuno Wave Rebellion Pro. I think this is still lighter. Yeah, maybe close to the SC Elite 4. I think this is still a little bit heavier, the tier. So, but yeah, it's still in the lightweight range. Joe Carter says, "I guess we're not liking this one." No, I'm not gonna lick it. It smells like a conference hall kind of, which that'll change once you run in it, you know. But they're not made to be smelled. They're not made to be eaten. That's just what I do, I guess. Martha says the new car smells used to appeal to people. It's not like that. It's not a new car smell. It's like a new office chair smell, you know? Maybe. I think it's this stuff. Maybe it's these overlays that are doing it. It's very strong. It's very strong. I think I'll make myself hyperventilate. Calvin says it's for road, not human consumption. Yeah, maybe. But I am looking forward to it. I'm glad they're finally here. Tier is exciting. It's exciting. I feel like I enjoy their approach. They're coming from the swimming and gym side, and they've been in road running for a long time, but I don't think making the kind of product that we tend to like over here. So they're branching out. They're figuring it out. Yeah. Sean wants to know, Kofuzi, let me guess, your parents had child locks on all the cleaning supply cabinets when you were a kid? We had no child locks. None at all. I didn't have a problem with that. I was fine. Brian Albrecht says, late but happy to make it. Good to see you, Brian. And Johnny Dodgen says, does Tier have any pro runners? I think they have pro triathletes. They're huge in the swim space. A lot of my swimming stuff is Tier. Like my, what do they call them? They don't call them half tights in swimming, but I have half tights, swimming half tights. I have those. Jammers. There's something ridiculous. The name is ridiculous. Does anyone know? It's ridiculous. But I have those are Tier. My swim bag is Tier. A lot of my swim drill stuff, that's all Tier. Yeah, JC says they're jammers. Isn't that ridiculous? It's a good name, I guess, to give to a bathing suit if you're 7, you know, but I don't know. It's kind of like, can you imagine going into a store as a 44-year-old man and be like, I'm in the market for some jammers. My last ones have worn out, you know? Hey, it's Carlos. He says, hey, Co, do you know what kind of sunglasses Clayton Young wore? They look sharp, but I kind of want a pair now. I knew on Saturday, but I don't know anymore. I'll try to follow up and figure out if I can get those. I told you guys a story about the Dakota Lindbergh sunglasses, but and that's super fun. Apparently, a lot of people wanted to know what they were. So, Allie Feller wanted to know. So that's fun. Remedy Wonder says, when you go into the store, you say, I'd also like a onesie. They make those. They're called wetsuits. James Hilson says, official Kofuzi Run Club jammer soon. That'd be pretty funny. Juliana VB says, have you ever done triathlon? Are you interested in them? If you can swim and bike, I personally have been thinking about it. I've done one. I enjoyed it. I don't like swimming, though. I like swim training. I don't like the swim part of the swim bike run. I thought I was going to die. Out of like 1,500 people, I came in. There's like 1,556 people in the race. I came in 1,551. It was bad. It was bad. You know. Let's see. Hey, it's Carlos. He says, there's a lot of empty space on your shelf, making room for more product. No, 2 things going on. One, I'm trying to build a new set. So I have another 3 of these bookshelves over there. Once we can figure out how to move the treadmill downstairs, you guys will start seeing the second set. So a lot of the shoes have moved. Most of the shoes that are on that though were shoes that were just like piled in little piles on the floor here though, so that's not a ton of it. But another thing is I just did the SC Elite 4 video, and so I have to pull a bunch of shoes for that. And I'm also doing the next video, which is the Triumph RFG after 100 miles video, and I have to pull a bunch of shoes for that too. And so that's just where all the shoes are. So yeah, Martha does point out though that Ed Bud started the shoe sniffing trend. Ed Bud has been doing it for a long time, but also Chris at Wear Testers has been sniffing shoes as part of his unboxing for a long time too. I don't know who did it first. It doesn't matter, but to me, it doesn't matter. But a lot of people have been sniffing them to get a sense of the smell. But sometimes it's for fun. Sometimes it's really striking. And so that's why I do it. I don't always do it. I don't think I always do it. I don't know. C-Town fan wants to know what's my running shoe size. I'm a size 9. And Daniel Estrella says, are these Billy bookcases? They are. And then you have to buy like 6 extra shelves per each one. And Brian Arberg says, maybe we solved this since Monday, but Sisson said she was in the Pacer on the Sidious pod. I don't believe her. I feel like Emily Sisson is the type of person who doesn't know what shoes she's in. I know she probably is very acutely aware of what she does and doesn't like. And I don't know. At some point, like, if she's in a modified Pacer, which I thought she was when she ran the American record, if she is in a modified Pacer, that has to be listed as a modified shoe or as a development shoe for World Athletics purposes. So it's like, it's fine to say you're in the Pacer, but I don't know. And we talked about it yesterday too. Meta Endurance is listed that, and I'm just like, I don't think that's what it looks like to me. And I haven't pixel peeped my footage all that close to take a look at it. She has a slightly different colorway of upper, but I know that brands will port uppers from one shoe and put it onto a development shoe so that people don't pixel peep it too close, you know? Or they'll paint the shoe, like the midsole, to look like last gen's midsole so that people, when they look at it, they're like, oh, that's definitely a Pacer. And so, but typically when that happens though, the brands will be like, yes, it's a development shoe or it's a prototype. They won't be like, oh no. Cause like, it's like saying like, can you imagine if they were like, yeah, Clayton Young ran in the Magic Speed? You'd be like, really? He ran in the, right? I mean, he did not run in the Magic Speed. He ran in an Asics prototype shoe. So I don't think she's trying to deceive anybody, but I don't think Emily Sisson is the right. I mean, I've never heard her geek out on shoes. I'm not saying she can't, but I don't get the sense that she's like super into it. Some runners aren't. They're just like, give me shoes. And they'll be like, I hated this one. I love this one. Give me more of that. But they won't know why or care why. They're just like, give me the thing I like, you know? Totally fine. Not everyone has to be a shoe nerd, but I don't know. I've never actually talked to Emily Sisson before. I tried to get New Balance to bring her to a shakeout run, and they were like, she's a little bit busy. I was like, just thought I'd throw that out there. I thought I'd try. Kevin Huang says, it is a bit awkward that their top athlete doesn't use their top shoe, though. And I think that's why it's being talked about this way. That's the only reason why I think it is. You know, because like, the more confusing thing though is that they're not saying like, oh, it's a modified SC Elite specifically tailored to her preferences. That's one thing. That's fine. And they're like, and then you go like, and it's a prototype, you know, that we've made and we're thinking about incorporating into the next one, and just never leaves prototype status. You know what I mean? You could do that, I guess. But like, why are they calling it a Pacer though? Maybe it's built. It's so confusing. I don't know. I mean, I guess I don't. I mean, I guess I could reach out to New Balance and ask. I guess I should. There was a time I was having, so like I've told you guys about this before. So on Relay, we're all in a variety of different group chats. There's one that's on, there's an Instagram group chat and there's like a text group chat as well. I try not to use the text group chat because I reserve text for stuff that is like, you need to drop what you're doing and answer this right away. And so a lot of times I'll just send it into the Relay. And like, we were wondering about Jared Ward, about all this stuff. I'm like, what is he going to even race in? What's Parker going to race in? And I'm like, I don't know. I guess one of us should figure it out. It's not my job to figure that out. And then I'm like, wait a minute. I think that is my job to figure that out. I think that's our job. We got to figure that out. So I guess I'll send an email. The guy behind the guy says, the New Balance designer said the new Pacer was designed around her. So I think the shoe she wore at the trial in a dev shoe for the upcoming is a dev shoe for the upcoming Pacer release. Like the new Pacer looks very different though. The new Pacer looks like the Rebel 4. And what she wore looks like the Pacer V1. You guys are going to make me get up today. And so the angle of the shot that I see most frequently is when we're looking at this side of the shoe. And she wore a white shoe, but it has like the white with the green piping on it, or maybe black. I can't tell. And so it says New Balance. Mine is white on white, but hers, it's like a green or black on white. And there is like a little strip of color along the midsole. So you can kind of get a better sense of how big that midsole is. I don't think it's much thicker than this, but I think what she has is thicker than this. This is the Pacer. It basically is a plate with an upper attached to it. That's what it feels like when you run in this shoe. It's actually kind of nice for the first handful of reps. You do it before your feet start to hurt, but yeah, but and she's a much different sized person than I am, right? But this just doesn't feel like the shoe. I mean, like, I feel like when I want to ask people about it that are convinced that it's a Pacer, I'm like, you mean this one? This shoe? Are you sure this is the shoe that you're talking about? Like, look at this shoe and then look at the SC Elite 4, right? You think she ran in this? She didn't run in this for sure, but like, this is like what racing shoes look like for a lot of people right now. And you think she ran it? I don't know. I mean, for me, like, until I guess until I could see it personally, I'd be like, oh, we're legit is a Pacer. Oh, my bad. And then I'll be happy to eat my words. But I just don't know. I don't know. Yeah, no, Scuba Sun says, like, what if she really is running the Pacer? I'll eat my words. I'll eat. Do I eat this shoe? I don't want to eat the shoe. I want to keep it. But I mean, whatever it means to eat my words, I'll be happy to be like, dude, guys, I saw it, I hold it, I looked at it, I held up my shoe next to it. It's a different size than mine, but like, it's that shoe, you know? I'll be happy to go on record to say that, but it doesn't seem like it to me. You know, Scuba Sun says, none of the Puma top finishers ran in the Fast R2 either. I think Fiona was first, Dakota third, and also Annie Frisbee 10th. I think they all ran in the Fast R. No, the Nitro Elite 3. You know? Can you imagine, though? Puma could have... I mean, like, it would have meant that they would have had to nudge out Emily Sisson, and that's hard to envision. But, like, if Molly Seidel was in healthy condition, that could be a sweep. Have we ever seen a sweep? I mean, I don't know. My fandom doesn't go far back enough to know. I don't think we cared that much about the brands, you know, if there was one previously. Yeah, Adam says, doesn't New Balance have multiple top shoes, Pacer and Elite like Asics of the Sky and Edge? They do. So Pacer is there as a top of the line shoe for like road mile, though. Sky and Edge is a little bit different. It's not quite like Endorphin Elite, Endorphin Pro, but I would think that it's closer to that than it is SC Elite versus Pacer. You know, it's more like Adios Pro and Takumi-san. I think that's probably the closer comparison. I'm trying to figure out what the source is, but at some point it got put into my head that she's running in something that's in between the Pacer and the SC Elite. And I think that might have been right around either RC Elite 2 or SC Elite 3, right around that transition time. Because I remember both of those shoes being like, I could see someone that has a very aggressive toe off and powerful stride like she does might feel like the SC Elite 3 is a little bit too spongy and want something with more just kind of pop. And that's where the Pacer, so all that always made sense to me. And then now it just seems like the story's changing back. So it's catching me by surprise. That's all. I don't know. Nate Rodriguez says, the color sounds like the Pacer version 2 colorway showed at TRE. I don't remember. I didn't get a close look at it. I saw it from afar. I didn't have a meeting with New Balance at TRE this year. But if it kind of looks like this, then it's not a version 2 midsole. The version 2 midsole of the Pacer looks like this. It's really big. You're like, I don't know how they go from Pacer version 1 to Pacer version 2 and not completely alienate the Pacer version 1 fans. It was that big, But, sorry. I didn't mean to slam that. But I don't know. That's just kind of that's what I'm thinking. Cameron Hong says, this takes me back to the early Vaporfly 4% days when other brand athletes wore tape-up Vaporflies because their brand had no alternative. Yeah, I think a lot of brands did that. I remember On was one of the ones that did it the longest, I feel like. Luis Becerra says, next week we're going to have a Monday shoe mukbang. Oh, boy. Oh, Adam says Sarah Vaughn too. Did Sarah Vaughn she didn't wear the fast R2s? Oh, that's interesting. That's a lot. Stevie76 says, this is where Kobuzi becomes an expert witness in running shoe litigation. I don't know. Yeah, am I going to accidentally invalidate her American record because you ran in a non-legal shoe? I don't think that's the case, but yeah. Juliana VB says, I heard an elite, I forget who kept talking about how they've been training for a long while with a shoe that they feel comfortable with, and they keep that and will not upgrade. I feel like that's a lot of the Nike marathoners in the Alpha Fly 1. I mean, I know a lot of them have switched over to the Vaporflies, but especially the European Nike athletes seem to like to race in the Vaporfly. But the Americans seem to like Connor Mans ran in the Alpha Fly 1. Pretty sure Kira prefers the Alpha Fly 1. I don't remember looking super close at her shoe, but I just assumed that she was. I don't. Does anyone remember? Thomas Dang says, Ko, how do you feel about heart rate monitors or foot pods for recreational runners? I think they're fantastic. I think they're a great tool to wear for a while. And so you kind of get a sense for what efforts feel like. I wore a foot pod for probably 4,000 miles. And then I was like, I think I've got what I need to get out of it. I still use it though. I've been using it lately whenever I get on the treadmill so I can log miles on Zwift. Just because I want to unlock the different shirts and shorts and sock combos. But yeah, so the foot pod's good. And then the heart rate monitor is an excellent way of trying to help teach yourself what easy runs feel like, what moderate pace runs feel like, what workouts should feel like. Because I feel like in the beginning, when you're learning to run, not to say that you're learning to run, you said recreational runners, but like for me, I feel like for people that are just trying to get in shape, every run feels like a hard run. So like easy runs don't make sense. And so I feel like a heart rate monitor can be like, oh, that feels wrong, but I guess I've been doing it wrong. So I feel like it helps you learn stuff. Daniel Stray says, the New Balance interviews at TRE said the Pacer version 2 was designed tailored to Sisson. I mean, that'd be great. Because I feel like right now the Pacer feels like a road miler shoe. If they made it more like a Takumi, that's very exciting for me. I love shoes like that. So, yeah. Mm. All right. Richard Wilson says, I'm looking at the 2016 trials, but I think Ward was in Saucony. Yeah, he's been in. I think he's been in Saucony his whole life. And Calvin says, the only elite I've heard preferring the Fast R has been Rory. I know Rory prefers it. I think some of the videos that he's been making, he's been doing workouts in the Fast R too. I mean, the DV8 Nitro Elite, I have the 2 up here, and I have the version 1 somewhere. It might be. I might have put it over there with the Tracksmith shoes. I think I did, because I have the Tracksmith collab edition of the Nitro Elite one. That one is, my understanding, it's very much designed with a lot of input from Molly Seidel, and it's the kind of shoe she likes. And so she has specified that the Fast R2 is not the kind of shoe she likes. And so she's been running in the DV8 Nitro Elite 3. The closest I've been to it was seeing it on the course. I haven't actually taken a look at it yet. I don't think I saw it at TRE. I remember I didn't film it, but I spent a lot of time with the Fast R2, and I love that shoe. That's the shoe that I wore when we did the Kafuzi group workout. Richard Wilson says, Des, was she in Nike then? No, I think Des has always been a Brooks athlete, because even before she went out on her kind of own, she was Hanson's Brooks. I don't know where she was before that. I think she's been Hanson's Brooks for the big part of her career, and then right after Boston, she just was still with Brooks, but on her own. But she wore a taped up pair of somethings that I still feel like people have not asked enough questions about, or she has not answered a lot of questions about. But I also feel like she's the kind of person that doesn't want to talk about shoes a lot. They did a lot of content with Des Linden, with Erica Kemp, which I thought was really fun, leading up to the trials. I feel like everyone's trials content came out like 5 days too late. By the time their last videos came out, I'm like, I'm already in Orlando. I don't care. I'm not watching any of these videos anymore. I'm here, you know? Maybe that's unique because I was there in the trials, but anyway, they had a lot of fun content they were talking about. But I feel like she's one of the runners that's just like, I don't like this one. I like this one. And she doesn't care, you know? Oh, Daniel says that Kira wore the Alpha Fly 3s. Oh, okay. I'm trying to picture it. I don't know. I knew in Eugene she ran in the 1s. And she had said at the time that she had only just recently gotten the Alpha Fly 2s. But that was 2 World Championships ago. And then I thought I'd seen her run more recently in the Alpha Fly 1s again. But I don't know. Yeah, I was surprised that Connor Mintz didn't run in the Alpha Fly 3, because he had run Houston the year before really well in the Alpha Fly 3. And I thought he had run a lot of other races. Well, when he ran in Houston, 2 Houstons ago, he ran the half. He ran in a development version. It was the one where the midsole was kind of like all taped up. So it just looked like a white block of foam. But yeah. Cobalt Blue says, some podcasters said they hope they don't have to talk about shoes as much this year compared to 2020 trials. If anything, there are more shoes to talk about, but not just Nike. Yeah, some people just hate talking about the shoes. They've always hated talking about the shoes. They love talking about CJ Albertson's chicken coop, though. They'll love talking about anything else about training and preparing for running, except for shoes. I don't really understand why. I love the shoes. It's my favorite part about this. I mean, I like the running, but in terms of like the other things about the sport to talk about, I love the shoes. Yeah, I don't know. Eddie Wong says, after how many miles did you retire a shoe? Say Saucony Triumph 21, for example. I think it depends very much on the shoe, and literally your mileage will vary. It depends on the terrain you run on, the way that you run. So things can vary. it's highly dependent on the type of shoe. A race shoe isn't going to last as long as a daily trainer. That's why daily trainers look and feel the way they do, because they're built for being used every day. Something like the Saucony 21, I feel like it's on the higher end of durability in terms of the midsole foam. And so typically I look to get about 300 miles from my daily trainers before I'm ready to get another one. Although I say that almost hypothetically at this point, because it's been a very long time since I've run 300 miles in a shoe. But back when all I did was basically 300-mile shoe update reviews, about 270 to 300 is when I really started to feel the comfort start to drop off in a shoe. And I was like, I'm sure the shoe can physically last longer. Like, for example, it's going to sit in a landfill for the next 50,000 years. So like, it will exist longer, but it's not making me feel as comfortable and good as it used to. So I think it's time for a different pair. So that's kind of like my benchmark is about 300 miles. Some people get mad when I say that, and they're like, you should be able to get 1,000 miles or 600 miles out of a shoe. And I'm like, that's great for you, not for me. So I like that. Triumph 21, the foam is really, really durable. So I expect a little bit more from a Power Run PB foam. That being said, I don't feel like the Saucony rubber it's grippy, but the price of grippiness is durability. And the other thing, kind of to wrap up this kind of segment on durability and longevity of shoes, is the wear and tear on the outsole is not the one and only indicator you should use. A lot of it is how does your body feel in it. Joe Carter says, hey, Cope, did the heart rate data change a lot when you added a supplemental heart rate monitor? I'm considering an arm band. I really just want it because I don't like the data my wrist-based heart rate monitor is producing. It changed to the extent that my wrist-based heart rate monitoring was wrong, and so yes, and it should, if you feel like you're the type of person that needs external heart rate monitor. Does that make sense? If it didn't change very much, then there's no reason to change. Does that make sense? So yes, it did. Armbands work great. Chest straps work great. I have found a middle ground for me is I just put a Velcro strap. I just switch out all my armbands for Velcro straps, and I make sure I put them really, really high on my wrist. So even with my my wrist shape or my skin tone or something about it, the regular wristband watch bands don't work that well. But if I put on a Velcro strap, it's usually pretty good. Aubrey running. What's going on, Aubrey? Says, when will the rest of the world catch up to the States and have such big events for Olympics qualification? Well done, USA, for this. I mean, it's a lot of fun, but it's very expensive to put on, and I think for a lot of countries, like in the UK, for example, having talked to Philly Bowden about it, she's like, even if you have the standards to run in the Olympics, Team GB is only interested in outlaying the cash to send someone to the Olympics if you think you're going to be like a top 10 finisher or some sort of cutoff, in terms of where they think you might be. They're not as interested in sending people just to send people. They want like certain amounts of return. And so like, if that's the position of your Olympic federation, in your country, then a trials doesn't make as much sense. And I think that a lot of countries are moving to like a hybrid. Places 1 and 2 will be based on a trials event, and then the third place might be selected, or some sort of mixture of that. So like Japan has a trials event, and then Suguru Osako came in like 4th or something, but he's still hoping that he gets selected to the number 3rd spot, for example. So there's things like that can happen, but it's not a standalone trials event. It's usually like in a race that already exists where they just declare that event will be our trials. And so there's things like that. I think the part that feels short-sighted about that is that like a big part of the trials is that like it helps showcase the sport to the next generation of runners. And I hope that like there's kids that are like, I'm not super fast at the 5K or 10K, but I am pretty good at running weekly miles. They might be like, oh, maybe I'll try marathoning once I'm done with my collegiate running. Like I feel like those are kind of things that kind of help open people's eyes and keep people in the sport on the pro level, or help them think about pro level running. And so like my friend Peter Bromka spends a lot of time talking about this in terms of like, what should the standards be to get to that race? And he's saying that like, if it were up to him, he would have the standard be too lenient rather than too strict. And so he'd rather have a race with 200 contestants for the men and women rather than 75, because that gives those people that are on the bubble, that are on the precipice of major breakthroughs, the incentive to keep pushing, and maybe they will hit those breakthroughs. So that's kind of like his argument. And I think that's what countries that don't do a trials miss out on, especially for something like this. I don't think that this quite the same thing applies for like track trials, but for marathon trials, I think it just really helps to grow the sport. And having been there and experienced 2 now, it's so much. I love it so much. It's my favorite sporting event. Stevie76 says, you know what? Because we were talking about if I ever had a YouTube team for some reason. Would I sign Adam Wood? If I could, I would. I would love it. I don't know if he'd want to take it. I mean, because like, do you really want to be like the first team of like YouTube pros? Like, it'd be hard, because it'd be like the reason you sign with a pro contract is not just for the cash. Well, that's a big reason, but it's like they can help being signed by like a real team rather than like a YouTuber's sponsored race team would be like, they can help get you into races. They can make sure you're racing in the most competitive fields and get you access to those kinds of things. So I don't know, but people like that are the people that would be. I was just watching an Adam Wood video before I came down here today. The what I eat in a day one. It's pretty funny. I'm in the comments if you're watching that one. So yeah, that would be fun. Jonas Heck says, do you think flat racers like the Streak Fly are dead, as a carbon shoe is better in every long distance race and spikes better for middle and short distance? I don't think they're dead. I think the Streak Fly needs to be majorly reworked. And so I think that's the problem why it feels dead. I just feel like Nike's not paying attention to it. But like, I think part of it is the Vaporfly is so successful that like anywhere I would use like a Takumi Sen or even a SC Pacer or a Saucony Sinister, the Vaporfly fits in really well, right? But like, and then for a lot of, I guess the people that that shoe is being currently marketed at, a longer distance race, they can wear a Dragonfly spike and be fine because they're like 18 and their body can handle it for a 3,000 meter race. But I'm 44. My body cannot handle a spike for 3,000 meters. You know what I mean? So like, I think that there's room for a flat racer. I mean, if you look at it, like Nike's kind of abandoned like their Zoom Streak, their LT Streak, the Streak Fly. Like they've kind of like made them, and they're still selling, but they're kind of languishing. They're not really pouring money into that one. I think there's a difference between a genre being dead and Nike not paying attention to it. I think Nike's not paying attention to it. That was a good question. I like that one. All right, let's see what else we got here. Matt Byer, I think I said, I think I'm way behind you guys in the chat, but I was saying like I didn't think that the Saucony outsoles lasted as long. I was just looking at maybe it might be because I have the RFG version, but I was looking at the outsole of my Triumph RFGs. I just passed 100. I'm at like 103, 105 miles in them. There's a lot of wear on that outsole, but I think it's a natural rubber outsole, not synthetic rubber. That might be it. Yeah, this Endorphin Pro 3, it's pristine. This shoe has like 120 miles in it. A little bit of wear up here, so that's doing pretty good. Endorphin Elite. This shoe looks really nice too. Still very, very clean. Lots of rubber coverage. So maybe it's just the natural rubbers that are not lasting as long. That's a good point. Thanks for pointing that out. CV76 says the next new product category is going to be spikes designed for masters runners. I'll take it. I'll buy one. I mean, here's the thing. I think that even spikes in the category of person that they're directed at, I don't think that I thought I remember having a conversation. I won't cite the source in case I'm wrong and I'm remembering the fact incorrectly. But I thought I remember talking to someone at Running Retail, a place that sells a lot of spikes. And they were telling me that, so it's hearsay. It's double hearsay. Because they were telling me that the brands that they talk to say that most of their spikes are not money makers. They make them because kids need them for high school, cross country, track, college, cross country, track. But it's a way to keep kids in the brand rather than it is to because they make money on shoes. And so I feel like Super Shoes made running brands super excited because they were like, pinnacle product that makes us a lot of money. Amazing. That's my understanding. Kevin Wong says, would a track marathon be USATF certified? I think the qualification for USATF certification would be about measurement. You just have you have to have a qualified measurer to do it, right? So I think it could be. The question is, would road stack heights be permitted for record purposes? I think that they are, because people have been wearing Alpha Flies for 100 Ks on the track races, right? Maybe I'm remembering that wrong. I don't know. It's an interesting hypothetical. I guess it's not that much of a hypothetical. It exists. All right, let's do one more question, and then I'm going long today, but we'll call it for today. Andrew Patterson says, yo, what's going on, Co? Rainy half coming up this weekend. Any tips for running in the rain? I would say not really. It might change my shoe a little bit if I had a particularly slippery shoe. But it's water, it's rain. It could affect your pacing depending on how hard the rain is and if there's wind associated with it. If it's going to be on the chilly side and you're going to be out there for a while, you're going to have to worry. You probably want to worry about waterproofing. Not because you don't want to get wet, but it can really start to pull your body temp down if you're in soaking wet clothes for a very long time. So that'd be something to consider. But don't forget to still take your gels. You'll have to let us know how it goes. Hopefully it won't rain for you. All right. I think that's a good place to leave for today, guys. It's tomorrow, Thursday. Hopefully I'll have the SC Elite video out tomorrow. That's my plan. That's my goal, but we'll see where we end up. And we'll do another unboxing. Oh, I have something peculiar coming in. I'm not sure what's in it, but hopefully it's fun. We'll see. We'll do that tomorrow. Same time as today, 1 p.m. Central Time. Until I see you then, be safe out there, everybody. Thanks.